Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Integrated Entrepreneur. I am here with my co-host, Keith. Keith, what's going on, big dog?
What's up, bro? How are you?
I'm good. I am good. So today, what we wanted to kind of go over, I want Keith to give a little bit of background onto what he does. This will be the only time we give background if you don't already know us. And then we're going to get into what we see happening in the economy and how you can take advantage of it by being the best operator you possibly can be. So Keith, give us a little background into who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so long and the short of it is hated school, went to the military, was in Air Force. So I was smart enough to pass that test to get into the Air Force, but hated school. Got out of the military in 2004, came home, was intending on running my dad's business. I grew up watching him being an entrepreneur, right? He owned a plumbing company. So I got first-hand experience of the ebbs and flows of business failure and rinse and repeat. But ideally, I was going to come back and kind of take that over. The two alpha males trapped in one office isn't a very good dynamic, and I was missing a bit of the adrenaline rush from the military. So I went into law enforcement in 2004, and I did that up until 2012. I got married and had a kid in between that stint and realized that $36,500 a year just wasn't going to cut it. So I created and did a startup company out of my garage, and that was my kind of introduction into entrepreneurship. He's frozen. I'm going to make sure you're back with me. So once I started that company, I was working the midnight shift, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. at the sheriff's office, working during the day running this business, and ultimately sold. So we did an exit in that company, which is kind of what gave me the introduction to taxes, for one, yeah. Right? And two was I truly understood, I didn't know anything about business. So that became my obsession. I wanted to be able to teach people what I did and all the mistakes, so I got into financial planning as a byproduct of selling the company and getting smashed to death with the IRS. I stayed at the sheriff's office just a brief stint and then kind of redirected and said, I'm going to go 100% into the financial services realm. I didn't know what I was doing then. I just knew that I had a vision to help growth-oriented entrepreneurs build and scale and sell businesses. Yep. That is not the direction that I took. I got recruited into Northwestern Mutual, and long story short there is I became a glorified financial planner who sold life insurance. And I did well because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, but it wasn't what my real calling was. So I used that as a platform to really create Tideland Consulting, which is now what we operate 100%. And I left Northwestern almost 3 years ago now, and I've been at Tideland Consulting ever since. So it's a little bit about me. It's a national financial planning and consulting firm. I own Tideland Financial, which is the financial planning aspect, and then the consulting side is where we're really helping growth-oriented entrepreneurs and everything from asset protection to legacy planning. So that's a little bit about me, man.
I love it. And guys, I'll give you a quick rundown. I've been in small business lending for the past 15 years, founded Integrated Business Financing. I also consult for a lot of the lenders and fintech companies in the business. And my mission has just been to support small business and to help small business thrive, because that's the backbone of this country. The better small business does, the better our country does. Because each small business, anytime you help a small business owner, you're not just helping them and their family, you're helping their employees, their families, and the full communities that they serve. And that's why me and Keith decided to come up with the Integrated Entrepreneur, do this together, because our paths are, we basically do the same thing with different approaches to it, right? So I'm helping with growth, scaling, and debt, and Keith is just helping from a planning and a much larger overview picture on how things need to be run and how it can boil down to, getting your taxes done properly, making sure you get all your deductions properly, really making sure that you are getting everything that you need and putting your business in the best possible position to move forward, right? And that's why we decided to do this, because a lot of people, there's so much false information out there from experts that say they're planners or say they help businesses get money, when in reality, most of the information that you guys are seeing online is skewed or off in some way, shape, or
Clickbait.
form. Yeah, it's clickbait, exactly. You know, I'll give you an example. I see an ad, and I'm not going to call out the name of the company, but I see it, this ad that keeps coming up for, hey, small business owners, do you need money? It's only 2%. And then you see in the smallest print possible, 2% per month. Well, 2% per month, when you actually do the APR on that, is astronomical, right? So we're tired of seeing, you know, bad practices, and we want to give operators the best chance they have to run their business and make the impact they want to make.
Yep.
So I think the first thing that we want to cover on this is times are a little crazy right now. Okay, we have a lot of different things going on, whether it's global tensions, whether it's how much money we printed, maybe it's also because we shut the economy down for 2 years, and all of these things are now kind of festering, and now we're seeing even more of what happens as a result of what we've went through the last 2 or 3 years. And what Keith and I want to do is come on here, explain where everything is now and what you can do to take advantage of it as a smart and informed operator. Keith.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Let's-
you know, I think. Go ahead.
Oh, you go.
I was going to say, I think, you know, right now where we're at in the State of the Union is a byproduct of all that free money that was sent out. EIDL, PPP times 10, ERC,
ERC.
R&D, and I'm not throwing shade at any of those things, because I truly believe, like, if your business checked the boxes and you filed appropriately and you truly needed it, and you know, they approved you for it, great. The problem is, you know, we got these ERC specialist offices that they're popping up more than liquor stores and McDonald's, you know.
Yeah.
And you're approved, and you're approved, and you're approved. So that's really what we're seeing as a byproduct of all of the government influx of capital. They've got to recoup this money, right? They've got to recoup this money somehow. So what do we see as a result? Interest rates, inflation, right? Things cost more as a byproduct. Taxes are going to go up as a byproduct. So, you know, I think this is a really good segment to lead in on. And, like, to your point, what can small business owners, medium business owners, and hell, even the large business owners, what should they be doing, thinking about as they go through the next 12, 18, 24 months until we start to see some reprieve, if we ever see some reprieve? This may very well be the new norm,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, it just depends, man, on how these things go. And it's an election season to throw that on top of everything.
Sprinkle all the crazy in one and see how it comes out. After you pull it out of the other.
Full send.
Full send.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything that you said is spot on. The only thing I would add is, you know, some of the supply chain challenges that some companies have faced, but I think that's easing a little bit now because it's had some time to work through the system. But what I want to do is we'll break this down both from a business standpoint and from your personal standpoint, because your business needs to be able to stand alone and you need to be able to stand alone. If you are truly building wealth and doing everything the right way, the company that you're operating has to be a function. It could be the main function or main piece of this puzzle, but it also has to be a standalone piece in addition to your personal finances, right? And I see that too many times where operators blend the two and just winds up hurting themselves. So the first thing I want to speak on is mindset. Okay, if you go back in time and look at any challenging time throughout history, you could go to the crash of 08, 09. You could go and see what happened once we had the lockdowns in COVID. We had a brief crash. During these times, these bad times are going to happen no matter how well thought out or how well you plan for them. Okay, that's not up for debate. They happen every 7 years, give or take. All right, and we were long overdue for one. However, your mindset needs to be, this is an opportunity, because if you go back in time and actually look at any of these periods, people were able to make life-changing, okay, money. All right, you could change everything, the future of your family, in these time windows by just pushing forward, not giving up, seeing the opportunities, and taking advantage of the opportunities. In '08,
Right.
I was able to pick up a lot of multifamily properties that years after, and this was actually after it happened, after '08, but I was able to sell those for double or triple what I bought them for, and I had cash flow coming in. That was a huge opportunity I was able to take advantage of back then. If you condition your mind that the next, let's say 12 to 24 months is one of the biggest opportunity windows in your life, you're already going to start with the right mindset, the right perspective, and you're training your brain to look out for what you can do or what you can accomplish next. So
Yeah.
that's huge, guys.
Yeah, and I think, there's one word that really sums up someone's ability, and it's liquidity. And it's what we're preaching very heavily with our clients right now, and in the work that you and I do together with our clients, it's liquidity. And you're not too late to the game for this round, right? So we're telling clients now, like, anywhere you can find access to capital, open those doors and open those relationships. From a HELOC on your home, to creating hard money lending friends, to getting lines of credit for your business, whatever it may be, we want access to capital. And so the feedback and the kickback sometimes we get there is like, well, this money's too expensive. Well, it might very well be, depending on the deal you're looking at, right? And so, and what I usually use there is like, we've done, I've bought real estate recently with as much as 14% hard money, because the deal supported my ability to pay that 14% and still cash flow some, which is like, hey, I'll buy the asset with your money. Mm-hmm. I'll make a little bit today, and I'll ride the wave until we see what interest rate environment does. And if it presents a time to refinance, great. If not, then I'm just going to figure out a way to pay this guy off and get him out of the deal on a different route, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing with, outside investments and inside investments. I think that the only way that you're going to get through this without feeling all of the angst and anxiety as an operator is to know that you have enough liquid opportunity to get through it, right? And then exercise on those opportunities when they fall into your lap.
Just
right?
because
That's what we're all waiting for.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of vultures. We're just waiting for it.
Yeah. Just because you see it, you still have to take the necessary steps to take advantage of it.
That's right.
So I'll give you this, right? And this is going to be a rundown of what I'm telling all of the operators and all my clients now, right? One, you want to reduce expenses and cut or eliminate all bad debt. What are some expenses? Well, if you go through your P&L, which you should get on a monthly basis, look at the expenses, look at where you can reduce them. Are there services that you're not using? Okay, are there, because I guarantee you, every single operator listening to this right now, if you went through all the services you're paying for, you're probably only utilizing half, and that's generous. Okay?
Right.
So make sure you're not wasting money first. Cut out all unnecessary expenses, number one. Increase your cash flow. Number two, make sure that you're eliminating all this bad debt. What is bad debt? Debt that is not producing any type of return. So it could be credit cards that you let stack up. Get those paid off or paid down entirely. It could be a loan that you took out to consolidate credit cards. Whatever it looks like, get rid of anything that isn't producing that return. All right, and then you want to figure out what your cash flow situation is. How much free cash do you have to invest? And you want to invest it in what is going to bring the highest ROI or return on investment to you. That's simple. Whether that's a piece of equipment, a truck, marketing dollars, you don't ever want to stop marketing in these down cycles. If anything, you want to find ways to market more. Okay? And then the last thing is look, not the last thing, but this is a key piece for an operator. Look for ways that you can create win-win-win partnerships with people. Okay, the more relationships you develop in these hard times, and the more you can find ways to work with each other's clients, okay, your cost per acquisition is going to drop significantly when you build these great relationships, when you build these great partnerships. All right, so if you are building them, fostering them, and really putting your effort into them in downtimes, they're going to feed you in downtimes when times are getting better and when times are great. Those relationships are absolutely vital to you right now, and that should be a big area of focus. Keith, where else should operators focus to make sure?
Yeah, I think the relationships definitely one, and then look at operational costs. Right? Are there things and activities in your business that currently you should slow down? And so, these are those things that we talk about when we're talking about projections to get in front of a peak season or to get in front of a lull in your business. The same thing can be done here, and we've had 12 months of examples of why these things need to be happening. Right? Interest rates through the roof, people paying 7% and 8% to buy a 30-year mortgage, people offering $400,000 and $500,000 and $600,000 over asking price just to secure the house. You hit on the first thing that we do. It's what are your crappy expenses that we can get rid of? What are the non-negotiable things that we should just not do right now? And sometimes it hurts. I mean, I'm going to get rid of a car that I've wanted for 10 years. Why? Not because I don't want it, but because I know that cash flow back to my bottom line is important over the next 12 and 18 months. And then on the flip side of that, because I'm selling things that I don't want to sell today, I'll probably afford myself an opportunity to buy 2 of them later. Yeah. Right? Because I'm going to reinvest this money, right? Buy low, sell high. Same concept as these fantastic financial planners out in the universe who want to get your money into the stock market. But the reality is, it's got to start at your operation, right? And let's use service-based industries. Should you narrow in your delivery, right? Should you not go 40 miles to do an AC service? Should you cut your circle down a little bit to save on expenses, right? So we look at that. Is it going to hinder business, hurt business, etc.? And then to your point, when's the last time you went through your P&L to figure out what exactly you're spending money on? Most people don't even know where to find the P&L, much less how do I open up the categories to see what exactly is in each category to see what I'm spending. Yeah. And so when we do those 2 exercises, we did one last week in particular. This guy with $55,000 a year that he was spending just on things that he just didn't know he quit using, to your point, like old cell phones and all of those things. So that's the main thing, because if you can get your spending down and your bottom line, there's more profit, right? If you just continue to do the same amount of business. Yep. But then you take it a step further once we get an idea of that expenditure. Now what do you want to add? Can you add a service to take advantage of this time? Yep. Right? Are there things you can add to your activity list that will allow you to make more money and spend less? Yep. Right? So those are things that we're doing.
That's a great thing. That's something I was going to touch on. Guys, the easiest client or the easiest way to increase your business is to either raise your prices or offer other things to the same clients. Okay? Take an honest inventory about what else your clients need at this point and figure out how you can offer it to them, because they're already working with you. So if you can add another service that's going to be a massive value add and big win for your clients, look to add that on. Now, you can buy a company, or you could learn that service or that product and then start offering it to your clients and listen to their feedback. Okay? As you're doing things and as you're making these little changes in your business, whether it's a new product, new service, or really just anything, make sure you're speaking to your clients, because they're going to tell you what they're looking for. They're going to tell you how else you can help them. All right? And most of the action that you want to take is based on your clients' responses and how else you can be a greater service or greater benefit to them. Right? So make sure you're speaking with your clients, because guess what? They're already your ideal avatar. So they're going to give you the whole blueprint that you need anyway to figure out how to grow and expand and not waste, money trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to kind of muscle through it, and then keep your eyes open for opportunities to buy companies that aren't prepared, right? And there's companies that are on fire sale right now, right? And we're not even really in the thick of it, in my opinion. So if you can imagine another 6, 12, 18 months of companies circling the toilet bowl, your opportunity to snag market share, right? To snag employees, right? These upper level people that you've been wanting and needing, they're going to be looking for other opportunities. And if you can position yourself to get through this and every one of these speed bumps, whatever you want to call the shit that we're in, right, in the future, by just maintaining liquidity and making sure that you have resources available, doesn't mean you need to save your pennies. You don't have to have this in your savings account. You should, but you don't have to. There's people like you, there's your banker at home, like there's other ways to go open the door for liquidity, right? That not necessarily doesn't mean you need to take a pay cut to save cash.
Okay.
Although if you can take a pay cut, you probably should.
Yeah, I love it. All right. And
What are you seeing right now? What are you seeing on your end of the spectrum? What's the most common theme that you're running into with all your clients right now?
I'm seeing a lot of people fall into two buckets. Either one for growth. That's the bucket I love when people are falling into. That's, hey, I need an SBA loan to buy this business, or I need an SBA loan to consolidate all this debt and get some equipment, or hey, I need equipment financing, or I need a line of credit for inventory. Those are all great examples of clients that need funds for growth. Okay, then the other avenue is I made a mistake, I need money now to fix it. Okay, I'm seeing more and more of that, and the challenge is whenever you're in a position where, hey, I need money now and I need to fix it, a lot of times it's too late because you already have that financial stress, meaning your credit is probably down, your cash flow in the business and the banks is probably down. That's why I always say the best time to open a line of credit or to apply for anything is when you don't need it, because that's when your banks, that's when everything is going to look the best and appear the healthiest on paper. But this way, when you get scored out, you'll score out higher and you'll get better terms. So those are really the two buckets that people are falling into right now. And if you're in that later bucket that, hey, you need money for an emergency, make sure, and I tell everybody this when they're going to borrow, make sure that you actually understand the solution that has a high likelihood of working. I never want someone to borrow money and throw good money after bad. Okay?
That's right.
If you tried something and it didn't work, you need to figure out, was it because I didn't have enough money to make it work, or was it just not effective and I should try something else? The ones that should try something else should have a high degree of likelihood of that actually helping before opening up and getting some type of financing. Because by the time you get it, if you don't have a good idea it's going to work, you might just be borrowing just to borrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hear it too. And most of those people in the second category are so panicked and need money so bad that they turn it all down because the money's too expensive, or this or that or the other thing, which happens time to time. But again, it's one of those things of, are you trying to cover up a 6% interest rate, credit card bill? And if you are, the 17% money is probably not a good fix. To your point, right? So you gotta weigh the odds and really take some inventory on what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely, guys. And I think the operators that are going to do the best in this time are running their business well below what their revenue cycles look like, and they're conserving cash and making sure their credit is in great standing, both business and personal credit. They have a roadmap or a blueprint of what they want to accomplish in the next 6 months and when they have to borrow for that, whether it's a new piece of equipment or whatnot. And those are the operators that are going to be poised to take the biggest advantage, because as your competitors are going through the cycle, some of them are going to start folding. And then to Keith's point, once they start folding, you can get those employees, you can get some of their equipment on deals, might be able to get their inventory at liquidated prices. we are going to start seeing these opportunities come up more and more and more. And what we want you guys to do is get in the best position possible. This way, as these come up, you can take advantage of it. Keith said something that's huge. Have access to cash. That doesn't mean you have to go out and get a $500,000 SBA loan tomorrow. It means you open up a line of credit for $250,000 and you leave it there, and then you know that the next opportunity that you have, you have the ability to pull from that, right? And how do you do that? By getting yourself in position today, making sure your credit's right, you have all your documents, your profit and loss is done, and you know every area of your business, and you understand what those next few steps are that you need to take to maybe go from, a $200,000 a month company to a $400,000 a month company. And that's really where your focus should be, is making sure that everything's smooth, you've paid off all your non-income producing debt, okay, you're in the best position possible, you're living and you're operating the business well below your cash flow cycles, and that you're prepared for any opportunities that come up and that arise.
Yeah, and here's something I think we need to address too, because you got to think, this is probably the first time that a lot of these operators are going through a cycle like this.
Yep.
It's been so easy to make money the past 15 plus years. I mean, it has been an absolute, just as simple as putting a sign in front of a building and saying you're open for business. And right now, because it's been so easy, people have just spent recklessly because more money's coming in. So let me just go buy the next thing, right? But this is going to be a true testament of the bandwidth and capability of your business being able to truly live through a crunch time, right? And you can ask anyone that's been in business through anything like this. The only thing that got them through it, there's two things. One is they didn't give up. That's the main one.
That is the main
And
one.
two, they figured out a way to save money and have money available when the shit and the fan collide.
Yeah.
And that, again, I want to reiterate this. That doesn't mean that you just got to go old school and save 20% of your business income in cash. Now, I'm an advocate for that because it's helpful. But to your point earlier, it's relationship values that are going to help. It's your marketing plan that's going to help. It's your ability to have relationships at financial institutions that's going to help. It's not just one thing. It's a catalyst and it's a collective of things that each plays a certain part in the evolution of getting through to the other side of this.
Yep.
And I'm telling all of our clients, act as if this is the new norm in business. Act as if 8% interest rates and 10% interest rates and 15 plus 2 and hard money is the new norm. Because until it's not the new norm, it is the norm.
Yep.
Right? And no one really knows what interest rates are going to do and the whole cycle. Like, taxes haven't even been increased yet.
Yep.
Right? And if you look back at the 60s and 70s, tax brackets were 50, 60, 70% at the highest. We're not even there yet. So when people are like, oh, can it get any worse? Yeah, I'm sure it probably can. So stand by. Don't ask for it too much because
No.
you get what you ask for. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of making sure that you're thinking through this, not with a short-term mindset, because no one can really tell us where this thing's going.
Absolutely not. I think just be prepared, be ready, and have the right mindset. Mindset's going to be everything. And then, Keith, your later point, all that boils down to is being resourceful. Having the right contacts and the right ability and mindset to just pivot if something isn't working, go somewhere else, speak with somebody else, get the answers that you need, and keep moving forward. So much of this, we want to think of it's pass or fail, or it's a win or a loss. When it's not, being an entrepreneur is usually you taking a few steps in one direction, and if it's working, you're going to keep going. If it's not working, you're going to analyze why it didn't work, and then start taking steps in another direction, right? You just can't stay there, like you said. Keep moving forward.
So let's talk a little bit about what are some things people should be doing I know what people have been doing on their tax returns lately
Yeah.
that aren't helping through this opportunity for them, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to show any profit. I don't want to pay any taxes. I want to show a loss, and that's cool for about an hour
Yeah.
until you're like, shit, I need a loan to get my business off the ground, or I need to go get some resources and I need help. So, talk a little bit about what people should be doing to show that their business is strong enough, that their resources are strong enough to be able to come to someone like you and say, hey, SBA, this, whatever loan it is, what are you looking for? So, because a lot of these people have never been in a pinch to say, man, I'm either shutting the doors or I got to find a loan.
Yep.
And that's happening heavy right now for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what are you telling them? What is your feedback? And this isn't going to fix a lot of their shit today.
Nope.
But for the guys who aren't in that position moving forward, maybe this will be helpful.
Absolutely. So a couple things, guys, and Creed, that's a great question. One, you want to know where your business and personal credit is at all times, and you want it as high as possible. Okay. Two, you want to show cash flow. So make sure all the cash is going there, and make sure you're leaving at least 10% of your monthly sales average in your bank at all times. So if you're doing $100,000 a month, keep 10 grand in the bank at all times. Simple. If you're doing $1 million, keep 100 in the bank at all times. Why? Because when you go for equipment financing, you go for a line of credit, it's going to show that you have higher average daily balances, shows that you can afford whatever that monthly payment is that's going to come out, and that already gives you a step up on the application process. The next thing is pay yourselves, guys. If you can prove that you pay yourself, it's going to be easier for you to get a home mortgage if you want one. It's going to be easier for you to get a personal vehicle, and it would be easier for you to get a term loan if you write the taxes down to zero. All right. Now, speaking to writing the taxes down to zero, so you don't pay any, pay any income. I get that everybody wants to do that. However, what you're doing is, one, you're actually bringing down the value of your business. So if you're looking to sell in 3 years, and the 2 years or 3 years working up to it, you've claimed zero or very little profit, guess what? You're showing that the business isn't profitable or isn't that profitable. And if a business isn't profitable, it's going to be a lot harder for someone to buy it, or at least justify the value that you're trying to get out of it. And then two, you're going to be capped with how much you can actually borrow. So if you needed to go buy a building and you want to go buy out a competitor and you're not showing a profit, well, you're not going to be able to get the SBA loan to buy the building or to buy out your competitor. All right, so the rule of thumb on that is for every $50,000 in profit that you show on your tax returns, you can roughly get $350,000 over 10 years from the SBA. You can double that number, right? Because if you're going to go buy a building, well, you're going out 20 years. So if you're going to go buy a building, for every $50,000 in profit that you show, you should be able to finance $700 over 20 years. Well, now you're getting an idea of what type of building you can afford, right? I'm just giving you guys a nice little baseline metric based on today's current rates. All right, so please, I get you don't want to pay taxes. None of us here do, okay? We don't want to send to another country, okay? But it's vital if you're going to sell your business, and it's vital when you're going to go buy larger purchases in your business to get financing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. And to your point, like, you don't want to do that. Business valuation is important, especially if you're one of those guys who is hell-bent on an exit, especially with, I think what's you and I know what's become really popular, right? Venture capital, private equity money. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually walking through this process with a client currently, and it's really eye-opening on, you mentioned 2 to 3 years of tax returns. These guys are going back to the very beginning, right? And when you start talking about 60 and 70 and $80 million at 70% buyout figures, they're going to go back, and they brought in a forensic auditor to go through the books to make sure you weren't bullshitting. Like, they go through the whole gambit, and the point there isn't to show zero. The point is to minimize your tax liability, but continue to make sure the business valuation is not hindered, right? So there is a fine line between showing a little bit of profit and then writing a bunch of shit off to dominate the profit, and then now no one's going to come in and give you 10 million just because you think your business is worth 10 million.
No.
If your books show zero, your ass is getting passed over for the next guy who's got clean books. That's ultimately what's going to happen.
Absolutely. 100%, guys.
We froze up there. I'm back.
Yeah.
So,
Well, guys, you guys heard it here first on the Integrated Entrepreneur. Do us a favor. Make sure you share this. We're not going to run ads on this. Make sure you share it with somebody that needs to hear it. Share with another operator. Get the word out, because Keith and I are going to bring you things that other people just aren't going to talk about. And we actually have the experience, and this is what we do every day. So you're learning from experts, and I hate even calling us that, in our fields. And you're going to be able to filter out a lot of the background noise and the bullshit. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next.